Well, it's Tuesday, and we have some news, some breaking news from Sony PlayStation. Look, I don't. Many of us were expecting this news for this week and for quite some time. But if you were asleep and didn't catch the late breaking news, PlayStation has announced the new revamped PlayStation Plus. So let's talk about it, and I'll give you my honest take on how it stacks up against Game Pass. All right, everyone, welcome back to BRAP. So just want to do a quick video to talk about the new PlayStation Plus service, which launches in June of this year. Actually, June 7th, I believe, is the actual launch date. And look, we knew about Project Spartacus or Spartacus. We knew that Sony was going to, I guess, have an answer for Xbox Game Pass. But I think the thing that made the most sense was to combine PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now into one service. I mean, why not, right? Why have two different services? Just didn't make sense. I think from a messaging standpoint, it makes more sense for them to do this. So let's look at what PlayStation announced today. And we're also going to talk about some of the comments that Jim Ryan had about Sony's first party AAA games going in day and date and how that may not make sense for them right now. All right, so PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now come together. Players can choose from three flexible options. So they are three tiers here. If you see these tiers, there is PlayStation Plus Essential. That is the first tier. And essentially, that's going to give you the same benefits as PlayStation Plus members are getting today. Things like two monthly downloadable games, exclusive discounts, cloud storage for saved games. They need to remove cloud storage from behind a paywall. They definitely need to do that. That's kind of been a sticking point for me. And so that's going to run you here in the United States about $10 a month, and then $60 annually, which is what I'm paying for the service now. For PlayStation Plus Extra, and I'm running down all the prices in the different regions like Europe, the UK, and Japan. Only mentioning the United States because I sit here in the US, but you can see the price points here on the PlayStation blog. So then the second tier is PlayStation Plus Extra. Again, this is the second tier of the service. And what it provides all the benefits from the essential tier, which is the tier we just mentioned before. Plus, it's going to add a catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation 2 Studios catalog, third-party partners. Now, we have seen Sony launch some third-party games day and date in their service. So what if that's probably going to be something we see, trend as a continuing trend. And then don't be surprised to see some of their larger first party titles that once they maybe have hit their retail maturation point, may find their way to this service. Games like God of War, Miles Morales, things like that. So that's going to run you about $15 a month, or $40 quarterly, or $100 a year. So now here's the PlayStation Plus Premium. Now this is essentially what I'm paying right now. And I would venture that many people are probably doing this and paying PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus, which combined are going to run about $120 annually for you. That's what this PlayStation Plus Premium service is. It provides all the benefits from essential and extra tiers, adds up to 340 additional games. So I think there's about 700 games you can get out of this service. So 340 additional games, including PlayStation 3 games available via cloud streaming. I know some people wanted PS3 games to be emulated on PlayStation 5, but they have chosen the cloud streaming route. Again, look, for me personally, I don't play a lot of older games. I just don't care for them. When I buy a console, I typically try to play games, specifically newer games for that console, which is the reason why I bought the console. And not that there's anything wrong with game preservation. I'm all for that, but just playing older titles that go back to PS3, PS2 are just things that don't interest me. And if I do it, I'm probably going to want to do that on PC, where I have a little more control over performance and things like that. So, all right. So, catalog of beloved classic games available both streaming and download options for the original PlayStation, PS2, and PS5 generations. So, they're giving you download options for original PlayStation, PS2, and PSP generations. Which, if that's something you're interested in, is kind of cool. And then cloud streaming access for original PlayStation 2 or PlayStation, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games offered in the extra and premium tiers in markets where PlayStation Now is currently available. Customers can stream games using PlayStation 4, PS5 consoles, and PC. So one thing I should notice too is there is a PlayStation Deluxe in select markets. It's for markets without cloud streaming. PlayStation Plus Deluxe will be offered at a lower price compared to premium. Includes a catalog of beloved classic games for the original PlayStation, PS2, PSP generations to download and play along with limited game trials. Benefits from essential and extra tiers also include local pricing will vary by market. So that's right here. Just highlighted that here. That's that PlayStation Plus Deluxe. But back to premium. There's time limited game trials. So this is something they talked about, which kind of piqued my interest when they initially mentioned that game trials would be part of this new rebranded PlayStation Plus. So you could just basically try select games before you buy. Now this, again, I'm paying this right now. I'm paying $120 a year with PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus. So this is going to run you in the US $18 a month, $50 quarterly, and then $120 a year, which is what I'm paying right now for both services. So nothing revolutionary here. This is just more streamlining what they have in place. I think it provides Sony a better. I think it's just easier, I think, for the consumer to understand what they're offering, but it's not anything revolutionary here for them. They're not, disrupting the subscription space. I don't think they needed to. I think what they needed to is just streamline the services that they have to make it a little more clear and concise for consumers. And I think they did that here. Now, selfishly speaking, would I liked games in first party AAA titles in a service like this day and date? Absolutely. I would have certainly enjoyed that or wanted that. But they're not doing that right now. They're not doing that. And, Jim Ryan's kind of talked about why they're not doing it. He says that basically they feel, and there's an article right now, game industry on Game Industry Biz right now, that where Jim Ryan's talking about why they're not really why they're not looking to share or not share, I should say, but why they're not looking to put their games day and date into a service like the new revamped PlayStation Plus. And look, I understand why Sony doesn't feel the need to. I mean, right now, there's some interesting data points that just came out. Subscription service, like things like Game Pass, only account for about 4% of revenue in the industry. So these services are clearly in their infancy. And I hear a lot of comparison about Spotify and Netflix and things like that as it relates to services in gaming. And the one thing that I think gets lost in conversation is that how we consume television, movies, and music is different than interactive entertainment, because you're a little more invested in terms of time, things like that. And Strauss Zelnick of Take-Two CEO has kind of alluded to that or mentioned that gamers typically consume maybe 3 to 5 games a year and probably put about 40, 45 hours in each of those games. So they may not see the value per se in consumer, may not see value in having access to 400 games, right? If they're only playing 4 or 5. So, but we'll see. I mean, as Microsoft starts releasing more of their AAA, content into Game Pass, we'll kind of see how, what the market reaction is to that. So, but Game Pass has been around for 5 years now. It has about, I think, 25 million subscribers, and even with the releases of Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite, we haven't seen a massive blip or increase in subscription new subscribers for that platform. Although again, 25 million subscribers in that service today. So but Sony, they're selling games. I mean, some of their games are approaching Nintendo levels. Some of the games are selling 20 million copies. I mean, Sony is just making a lot of money right now selling software, and they're not gonna cannibalize that business model, especially with how subscription services are in their infancy right now. It just doesn't make sense for them to do it. They could pivot though. They could certainly pivot at some point. But Jim Ryan is mentioning in this article, Game Industry Biz. I encourage everyone to read this article titled "PlayStation Jim Ryan: Our Games Could Suffer If They Went Straight into PlayStation Plus." And what Jim Ryan is saying is that he feels if they were to do that with the games that they make at PlayStation Studios, that virtuous cycle will be broken. And that's interesting to call it a virtuous cycle, but um, the level of investment they need to make in their studios would not be possible. And he thinks that there would be a knock-on effect with the quality of games now um, that that we make that they make that would be something that gamers wouldn't want. So again, he is speaking directly to Sony. Look, I mean, whether you like their games or not, they make from a AAA narrative driven games, or those I should say in that space, the AAA, big budget narrative driven games. They do, I mean, they're probably best in the industry at doing that. And there's a high level of detail, production values associated with those games. If you've played games like um Ghost of Tsushima, God of War. There's just this level of just I don't even know how to describe it. There's just this high level of production values and attention to details that I see in these games that I don't see in some other big AAA games. So he's speaking to that, and we could debate whether or not quality is impacted. I it may excuse me, it may be impacted maybe for them if they were to put those games in. And Sean Layden's been on record saying, "Hey, you know what? Releasing AAA games in a subscription service day and date is not sustainable." I mean, Sean Layden himself has said that, and Strauss Zelnick, Take Two CEO, has kind of alluded to that as well. And Jim Ryan's kind of doubling down. But what's interesting though in this article, Jim Ryan is basically saying in this article um, that hey, the way the world is changing so very quickly at the moment, nothing is forever. Now he said this is kind of interesting. He says, "Who would have said even 4 years ago that you would see AAA PlayStation IP being published on PC?" So to me that speaks that hey, you know what, we're not totally closing the door on AAA games maybe releasing one day and day in a subscription service, but it's got to make financial sense. It's got to be sustainable for Sony to do so. They're not going to want to run the risk of impacting how they make games um, based on a model that might not be sustainable for them right away. And again, they don't have to put their games day and date right now because the market is there's strong market demand for their content. If you don't believe me, just look at their sales numbers with some of their games approaching 18, 20 million copies sold. That's quite significant, and approaching Nintendo numbers. Only Nintendo sells more in terms of first party software, but PlayStation is getting up there. They have a dedicated, loyal fan base that's going to buy their content. So they're not going to necessarily cannibalize that right away. But it is interesting that Jim Ryan is mentioning this. And acknowledges that the world is changing quickly. So never say never with them. And if the market is consuming games primarily in a subscription model, they could easily pivot. And I would even say that Sony has the content to be able to pivot, much the way HBO has done with HBO Max, to pivot and offer something that's compelling to consumers because they do have content, they do have valuable intellectual property that people want. Again, Sony just does the kind of games that Sony creates. No one else seems to really be doing at that high level and on a consistent basis. So it's going to be interesting to see, how maybe Sony pivots in the next couple of years as subscriptions kind of maybe grow within the industry, or that service grows within the industry. Because like I said earlier, it's still in its infancy with subscription services and video games only accounting for 4% of industry revenue. So going to be interesting again to see how that kind of plays out. But um, look, like I said earlier, I think they just needed to bundle these two services together, PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus. They've done that, and they've kind of streamlined their messaging here with what they're offering consumers now, which I think is good. But I think the only complaint that I would have, any criticism, is that I would like to see, because I am a consumer. I'm going to look out for my wallet first and foremost. I would have liked to see, or maybe one day see, their games day and date in a service. Because look, if I can get a deal, I'm going to get a deal. So that's just me being a consumer, exercising my consumer, I guess, rights, I guess, if you want to call it that. But anyhow, but so the natural question here is, how's this stack up to Game Pass? Well, I think the one advantage Microsoft has in terms of a value proposition is that you do get their first party games day and date in the Game Pass service, and that is a potential leg up for Game Pass. Well, I shouldn't say potential. I would say is definitely a leg up to what Sony's offering. Again, only because of the immense value proposition here of getting Microsoft's first party games. Now, if Microsoft starts cranking out games that are at the same level, that are just really giving Sony a run for their money in terms of AAA games, then that's a different conversation. That could certainly favor Microsoft tremendously. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But again, if we're looking at how the services stacks up, I think Microsoft has the potential stronger value proposition in that they are giving you their first party AAA games day and date. And then with the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, you got to imagine that's obviously going to bolster the value proposition appeal of what Microsoft's offering with Game Pass. So, but look, let me know what you all think in the comments section below. Please like and subscribe. And BRAP we'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time for our live weekly show. We're going to talk a little bit more about this with the panel, and you'll get various opinions and thoughts on this. So, again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you think that Sony did enough here? Do you think this is adequate for them in terms of combining the two services of PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus? Or do you think they should have included their first-party games in a similar fashion to what Xbox is doing with Xbox Game Pass? So thank you again, everyone, for your time, for watching this video. Again, like, subscribe, and please tune in to tomorrow night's show. Remember, we go live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be live tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time to further break down this announcement today and other announcements that may be coming up here shortly. So on that note, I am out. Thank you again, everyone. Appreciate it. See you tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time.